Welcome, Tal Yatsiv, the CEO and Chairman for ReSec.
Hi David, how are you?
Thanks for dropping by, much appreciated.
Thank you.
So what brings you to CyberTech?
We've been with CyberTech for years, and we've traveled all over the world. We've been in Thailand, Japan, obviously Israel. So I jumped at the opportunity of having a physical conference after such a long time of being grounded.
Yeah, I think everybody has a pent-up demand to come over and shake hands, whatever that means these days. So tell me, what problem does ReSec solve for its customers? And maybe we'll start with that and maybe discuss about maybe a few use cases, if you can.
Yeah, for sure. So ReSec is obviously a cybersecurity startup. What we're doing is redefining gateway security. Mm-hmm. Our job is to provide organizations with military-grade security with enterprise-grade usability. And the way we do this is we treat every document that comes into the organization as a threat. We always keep the original document outside of the organization's network. Mm-hmm. And what our software does is study that document and in real time create a threat-free replica that is fully functional. That's what we pass to the end user. The end user continues using that document without telling that there's any difference, but they're completely safe.
So documents, I'm assuming it's various types of documents, and I'm also assuming that documents are a significant attack vector on companies, right? A lot of times you receive it in an email attachment. People click when they shouldn't. Do you solve that problem?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So you know how timing sometimes solves everything. So more than 90% of malware and ransomware attacks today start with a document. Mm-hmm. It's email bodies. It's the Office suite, it's PDFs, but also many non-standards could be localized by industry, by geography, or for a specific customer type.
So I'm assuming you get that question a lot, like how fast is this process? Does it slow down the system, or like in terms, because sometimes executive, if they receive an attachment and they can't click on it right away, they panic, right? It's like this instant, instant process. They always want something instant. Do you have any kind of slow down in the process, or is it almost instant?
It's one of the most common questions that we get, obviously. Our processing power is superior to most. We are about 90% faster than any alternative solution, which means that the vast majority of documents will be done in real time, under 10 seconds. Very large documents, very complex ones could take longer, but it would still be faster than anyone else. And
what is the kind of the secret sauce behind it? I mean, sometimes when malware is attached to a document, it's only maybe varies by a few bytes, right? So without disclosing like the nuts and bolts of the solution, how do you determine if it's malicious or not?
Another great question. So first of all, we try not to. Our system is built out of 3 different processing engines. The first 2 are detection engines, advanced detection. There we're trying to find known malware, and if it is known malware, we will block it. The second thing that we're trying to do within the first part of the equation is actually look for the true file type and then enforce the organization's policy to that file type. Simple example, an organization does not want end users to receive .exe files. We will be able to identify that and block that. Everything else is deemed as safe by detection solutions, and that's where we stand out. So we deem everything else as still unsafe, and that's when we perform the reconstruction process. When we're doing that, we're not trying to detect anything. We assume that everything is bad. We don't tell you if it's good or bad. We just give you a threat-free replica to be able to continue using. Mm-hmm. By doing so, we eliminate 0 days completely and false negatives.
And I'm assuming you recognize all the file types. I mean, there's what? How many? Like tens of thousands?
Most commonly used ones. We have the first 2 engines, the detection ones, about 250 file types. The reconstruction portion, about 50. All commonly used ones. We've rarely run into one where we don't.
And I'm assuming it's good enough, because most organizations, they block, if it doesn't fall within the 250, it probably gets blocked anyway, right?
That's pretty right.
So, in your opinion, what's the kind of the best use case for this technology? Like, if you have the perfect client that comes over and wants to protect themselves, what do you recommend for them to do, like in order for them to get the most value out of the system?
I have to say that it really depends on the customer. I think it's one of the beauties of the solution. We actually put ourselves in front of the customer. We explain to them that we cover multiple vectors. So we show them email, of course, downloads from the web, uploads, external uploads into the organization, removable device transfers, internal transfers, API, FTP, and so on and so forth. We put that in front of them, and we ask them, where's your biggest pain point? And for some, it could be email. For others, it could be something completely different. And the beauty is that the system is flexible enough to sit within the customer's environment, very little interruption, and take care of the problem.
So I love asking this question. Can you tell me a couple of success stories, things that you maybe the customer acquired the system and they were able to stop something the first couple of weeks when they had the system installed?
Yeah, sure. I think I have a great example. A large bank, tens of thousands of users. They approached us because they were breached. So that was a very specific use case on their behalf. Security was put first and foremost. They tested multiple solutions over months. They selected us. We were happy to be there. But what they learned by using us is not only did we significantly improve their protection, we're actually able to significantly reduce latency, which is something you asked earlier on. That specific organization was heavily dependent on sandboxes. And sandboxes have a processing power issue. Latency is a problem. A great solution, by the way, but problem with latency. They're a bottleneck. By adding us, they were able to reduce the dependency on the sandboxes, quickly speed up the process, enjoy smoother and more seamless business as usual flows, and end up a lot more secure.
So since you see so many file types and so many files in general through the system, I'm assuming like it's probably in the millions, every day. Do you start recognizing certain patterns, like in terms of malicious content that goes through? Are you building a repository of that and potentially associate where the files came from?
Yeah, so we're not doing that today. We're still relatively early stage, so we're not analyzing the files any further after processing them. And you're absolutely right. We're processing hundreds of millions of files a year, and we have the ability to do so. What we are doing is we have the ability to keep the logs of everything on the files. And one of the things we want to do in the future as we grow older is actually add capabilities to analyze, do further analytics, and provide deeper insights to our customers about the behavior of the files that enter their organization.
And then I guess the last question before we wrap up, and I appreciate your time. Specifically, there's no standalone systems these days. You know where I'm going with this.
Sure.
What's the process look like for somebody who wanted to give it a try? What's the installation process? What's involved if they wanted to incorporate that into their exchange or whatever else they have in place?
Sure. So I'll divide that into two. The first part is how easy or how challenging it is to test the system, and it's really a piece of cake. What we do is we give the customer a cloud instance of the system. It allows us to play with the system immediately, see the value of the system. We then take it up a notch and actually do a live pilot in their production environment or a testing environment as they wish. Again, very seamless and smooth. To the first part of your question, what we try to do is make the customer's life as easy as possible. So we integrate with what they already have in place so that they don't have to change anything by adding ReSec into the system.
Fantastic. So thank you very much, Tal. Much appreciated. Thanks for providing insight on ReSec.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to maybe seeing you in the after-hour events.
I hope so. Thank you.